I'm going to make a video on Project Troy 302 Ford V8, and today we are going to figure out piston ring gap. And since I'm going to be running boost on this engine, here's cylinder 4. This is where we're going to test ring end gap for the top and bottom ring. And if the ring does not have a minimum of a 30 thousandths gap, I have to open up the gap with this grinding tool, which will grind the ring gap to be larger. Now I've taken the pistons and I've removed both the rings. There's ring number 1 and the second ring. And here's what I'm talking about, a 30 thousandths feeler gauge. And what you're doing is you're checking the gap between these 2 points on the ring once the piston is installed in the engine. So, well, once the ring is installed in the bore. So I'll show you how it's done. Okay, I'm going to set up the tripod. Bore number 4. I was a poet and didn't know it. Okay, next, I'm going to take the piston ring and I'm going to push it into the bore. Here's the piston ring. I'm going to kind of turn it a little bit and push it into the bore. Now, to make sure it's far enough to measure, I take the piston that has the rings removed and I'm going to push it in just enough. There I go. Now I can measure the ring gap, taking the 30 thousandths feeler gauge, and see that little gap right there. That's what I'm measuring. So I'm going to take the feeler gauge, and if I can get the feeler gauge in there, and it goes, that's going about halfway. It's kind of tight. So I'm going to remove the ring and remove some of that ring gap. Open the gap up some more. So I'm going to show you how I do that. There's the gapping tool to open the ring gap. So I'm going to get the grinder and I'm going to grind off some ring gap. See, like that. Just take this little grinder. You can buy it at Summit Racing for about 20 bucks. Grind some thousandths off the ring. There we go. Grind some more. I should have this bolted down so it doesn't move on me, but that's okay. A little bit more. Alright, let's see how this measures up again. This is piston number 4 and the top ring. Okay, I've got the ring in there. Now I just take the piston and help it get in there just right. Okay. Now I'm going to check the ring gap to see if the 30 thousandths fits. Yes, 30 thousandths of ring gap. So now this engine can handle some boost without chunking the part of the piston where the ring's retained. Now, if you don't get the ring gap right and you apply lots of boost, this area, this little gap, these 2 gaps that hold the top and bottom ring will chunk because the stainless steel ring has nowhere to go. So it's going to chunk the aluminum piston whether you have forged or cast. Now, the forged ones will last longer and they'll be more resilient. However, once it reaches its, maximum that it can handle, its pressure, it will break. So getting the ring gap to 30 thousandths, you do this with every single piston, top and bottom ring. It's kind of meticulous, it takes a while, but you know, it's worth it. You can run the boost safely and you won't be worrying about chunking your pistons, even if you run cast pistons. So next I'm going to do the other ring, the bottom ring. Alright, let's get the bottom ring installed. Push it in. Then get the piston to put it in just right. Alright, the ring's installed in the piston. Let's check the gap. Check the gap. Let's see if I can do it to where you can see it. Kind of tight. I can go a little bit bigger. So I'm going to open the ring up a little bit more so I get a nice easy 30 thousandths. You also want to make sure when you get done gapping your ring that you don't have any really sharp edges that can catch on anything. Okay, got the ring. Now I get the piston. Push it in. Okay, let's see. I think I'll do this again. Take the piston. Okay. Well, third time would be a charm. Okay. Push the ring in again. Put it up. Take the piston. Okay, there we go. Next, check the gap. I took a little material off. 30 thousandths gap. Nice and easy, goes right in. So these rings are now gapped to 30 thousandths. So my engine will be able to handle some boost without worrying about chunking the ring areas of the piston. So then after that is all done, we're going to put the rings back on the piston. So, got a piston right here. Got a piston. And this is the top ring. And the more sharp part of the ring goes towards the top of the piston. So, okay, here I go. I'm going to put the ring tool. Okay, ring tool, ring installation and removal tool. I'm going to put the ring on. Okay, one ring's on. Next ring. All right, next ring. Be the top ring. Okay. Go through the top here. Oops. Excuse me, yeah, the top ring. So here we go again, go up. And there we go. Get it in the groove. And your gap areas, you want to put them opposite of each other. So here's one gap area for the bottom ring, or the top ring, and the other one. So they're 180 from each other. So you got top ring, or bottom ring gap, top ring gap, oil ring gap. So they're far enough away from each other in proximity to where you won't get a condition where you get all these gaps lined up the same, and you get blow by every compression stroke. So I hope this video helps you guys on preparing your small block Ford, or any engine for that matter, for boost. You increase the ring gap to 30 thousandths, and that's how you do it. It's time consuming. It takes a while to get all that done. I mean, it took me a while to do all 8 pistons. It's a long process, but hey, I got it done. So hope you like this video on opening the ring gap to prepare the engine for boost. And please like, please share, please subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And have a great evening and mad boosting.